Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a little live video to start off the day here before our full show, which is going to be coming up very soon, and I will, of course, give you a preview of what's going to happen on that in just a little bit. We've got two stories that I want to talk about here. There is very much some good news coming up in like 4 minutes, so stick around for that. But before we get to that, I did want to let you know about some awesome work done by Crew, Citizens for Ethics. They have a report up. You can go to citizensforethics.org, where they detail not something, it's not shocking by sheer amount of money, but just how obvious the self-dealing corruption in the Trump family can be. So this involves Uruguay and the Punta del Este property that Trump organization is developing right now. So Eric Trump visited it in the beginning of last year, January 8th and January 9th of 2019. It was a 2-day business trip. Cost $80,786. Not to Eric Trump, not to the Trump organization, for me and for you. We paid for that. Why? Because he has a coterie of, Secret Service and all that. And they had to buy out a nice luxury hotel close to the Trump property that he was visiting. So we paid a ton of money. And if you want to take a look at the little, the order of the budget, you can do that. And while he was there, so actually after he got back, he tweeted saying he was visiting the construction site and that he was proud of the progress being made. He said at the time, by the way, I want to make sure everyone knows that there's a separation between me and my father in terms of I'm doing the business, he's doing politics, even though the American taxpayers are getting fleeced for hundreds of thousands of dollars so that I can visit properties to see how the construction is going. $56,000 was paid to the Grand Hotel, a luxury hotel 1 block from the Trump development, because, of course, while he's visiting it, he wants to live in the lap of luxury. He wants to have a good time. And why not? We're paying for it. Why shouldn't he? That was not the first time that we paid for this particular Trump to visit this particular property. In 2017, we spent $97,830 in hotel rooms for Secret Service and embassy staff that they sent. And so that is it's close to $180,000 for just Eric Trump's trips just to this property. Not all of their trips overseas. This isn't even counting Don Jr. This is just this one. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Multiple working class salaries. So that he can just, check in and see how it's doing. They have employees there. Hypothetically, he could talk to them on the phone. But when they're not paying for the trips, why should he actually care? And so there's a couple of reasons I want to talk about this. One is that obviously I think they deserve credit for publicizing this sort of thing, but also just because of how casual and run-of-the-mill and non-headline worthy it is that they can fleece the taxpayers to help them go about normal business activities that they would be doing anyway. They would be doing these trips. But maybe they're staying in nicer places, and in any event, we're the ones paying for it. And that's just going to continue. No. So I saw someone mentioned, so Doctor, who says, I do understand this is a big story, but in all honesty, I'm just numb to the personal corruption. I totally get it. Honestly, I feel the exact same way. My reaction to this is not the same as it was the last time or 5 times ago or 20 times ago that we did stories like this. And that's what they're relying on, is that even for the people who are most invested, you guys watching the show, me on the show, eventually it wears you down. You get ground down by all of the corruption, all of the swampiness. So that's why I want to transition to some good news. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Hit the like button if you'd like to see some good news. How about that? This is some good news. Did you see this? I tweeted about it. So, and I understand that I'm going to be over-exaggerating the good news here, exaggerating how significant this one story is. Totally get that, but can we have a little bit of fun for just a second? So a new poll was just released, conducted by SSRS for CNN. These are polls of 2 little states that are on Super Tuesday, California and Texas, so 2 of the smaller ones, and take a look at the results. In Texas, Bernie Sanders is at 29% among likely primary voters. Second place is Joe Biden at 20%. He has a 9-point lead in Texas. You got Bloomberg at 18, Elizabeth Warren at 15. So look, in that case, 4 candidates are above the threshold for delegates. That's true. But he is up by 9 points. A couple days ago when I was on CNN, Bakari Sellers was like, no, I've seen all the polls. Biden is up in Texas. Maybe in those polls, but in the most recent one, it looks like there's a pretty big gap. And so look, since December in this same poll, Sanders has gained 14 points. That's half of his support in this poll has jumped up. Bloomberg, admittedly, has gained 13 points, up to 18, so he was at just 5 before. Biden has lost 15 points since December, and Warren has held roughly even. So that's the crazy thing, is that Bloomberg appears to have shot up, taking much of what Biden is losing at the same time, although over the past week or so, it looks like some of that is going back to Biden after debate performances that were at least passable, and he looks like he's going to do well in South Carolina. Hold on one second. So Mr. Summertime sent a super chat saying, after hearing Tucker say, those are my tacos in Anna's new segment, can we make Taco Carlson a thing? Random, but thought it for a while. Much love. As long as we can find a couple more pieces of hashtag Taco Carlson news, I guess it can become a thing. But for now, we're gonna have to wait and see. So look, that's a bit of good news. That's not the big good news, though. The big good news, if you're a supporter of Bernie Sanders, is that California, same 4 candidates have the most support, but the numbers break out just a little bit different. In this, Bernie Sanders is at 35%. Warren, in second, is at 14. That's a 21-point lead in California, the biggest state. Biden's at 13. Bloomberg is at 12. Here is what's interesting about that. Everything. But the second most interesting thing about that is Warren's at 14, Biden's at 13, Bloomberg's at 12. If that was the actual result, thank you, Nathaniel, that's very nice of you. If that was the actual result, in general, Bernie's the only one who would get any delegates. The others don't meet the threshold to get delegates. And there are 400 delegates on offer. Now, look, this is just one poll, and God only knows what will happen. And even if this poll was accurate, it wouldn't actually work out that he'd get all the delegates because some are allocated based on performance in congressional districts, all that. It wouldn't actually work out as clean as that. But he would, in the end, get hundreds of delegates from this if this is true. It would be well earned, too, because they've really been investing, and obviously California's a place that's going to like Bernie. But that would be massive. The biggest state by a big chunk over Texas, where he also has a lead. Major atheist, I am not sure about, but Emma might, perhaps, but I'm not sure yet about visiting Columbus. And so, I mean, look, going into South Carolina and Super Tuesday, I mean, it's looking pretty good. And by the way, we don't have another debate or anything like that. I mean, we do have South Carolina. I have predicted, and I know it's unpopular, but I've predicted that I think Biden is probably going to win South Carolina. You never know, and we'll see, but I think that Biden is probably going to win South Carolina. And more importantly, I've predicted that, like a lot of people have, that the media is going to pretend that it is the most important thing that could possibly happen. That Biden, like with a 5-point win in South Carolina, is more important than if Bernie does win California by 21 points. Yeah, Bernie might win South Carolina. Totally possible. I'm just saying, I think there are reasons to believe that it might not happen. And importantly, like, the number one reason I'm saying it is because I think it's true. The number 2 reason is I don't want people, like, there are some sources for political analysis that are just get hyped 24/7. That's it. They want you to get hyped. But the thing is, if it isn't actually true, if it isn't based in fact, and if in the end, in this case, for instance, Biden does win, then how's it going to feel if you've been getting all your news from people who are like, no, it's always, everything's coming up you? Then you're going to be blindsided by what happens. So anyway, look, my belief is that I should be an ally of the truth. And so I'm just telling you what I think is going to happen. But it's one state. And look, if he wins 3 out of 4, that is still historic. And so we will see. Jonas says South Carolina was merely a setback. Well, it hasn't even happened yet, to be fair. It might be a bit of a setback. But honestly, if Biden wins, the person that's best for is obviously Biden. Let's not play games the way the mainstream media does. But we can also look at consequences of that. And if Bloomberg is on the rise, the last thing Bloomberg wants is Biden to win in South Carolina and start taking back some of that centrist vote. And again, it leads potentially to a situation where both of them are sort of splitting support and maybe in some states not reaching the threshold for delegates at all. And so in the end, it could have a side effect, a consequence of helping Bernie Sanders. Although, as we've said throughout, winning is the best. Winning is better than losing, generally. Bernie rally in Boston tomorrow. He's going to win Massachusetts next week. Look, I certainly hope so. I will say, Gabby, you should go to the Bernie rally in Boston on Saturday. I'm going to be at the Bernie rally in downtown LA on Sunday. And it's going to be basically everyone you can imagine. All your favorite people are all going to be there, apparently. And so it should be a lot of fun. Edwin's going to be there. And so it should be a lot of fun. Tyler King says, is there cake? There will be, because I'm bringing it. I'm going to bring some cake and hand it out. And you know what I think will be popular on the West Coast? Eating food that people are passing out in large gatherings when you don't know the person. I actually just thought about that. It's going to be a lot of people in one area. I'm going to have to wash my hands a lot. Let's bring some sanitizer. Every 2 minutes, we sanitize. Don't touch your eyes or mouth, people, as a general rule. Anyway, okay, so that's your bit of good news and your bit of corruption news as well. I do have to run, though, because we got a show coming up. What are we going to talk about? We've got garbage people. Look, I'm doing the show solo today. I know we've gotten used to me and Brett choosing a garbage person. So to compensate, I've got 3 people that are the garbage people of the week, all for the same reason. Ooh, what could that be about? And we've got some updates on coronavirus, obviously, and Brian Kemp's voter suppression in Georgia. Some fascinating revelations in that area. So we've got all that and more. 2 candidates are going to join us too. So hopefully I will see you in just a few.